Hello, welcome to another edition of Security Africa. This is still episode 2. We are still talking about COVID-19, its origin, and whether it is man-made or naturally occurring. This answer is very crucial for the survival of Africa in this 21st century. Africa is tired of endless virus epidemics, so it is time to know where these viruses and diseases are coming from. Recall in the last episode, you saw how 1,000 babies from Africa were deliberately infected with HIV virus under the pretext of healthcare delivery. These babies will grow and live with this infection for life. In addition, Ebola outbreak of 2014 was very devastating for West Africa. Over 11,000 innocent citizens were killed by a virus called Ebola. We have been asking, where did Ebola come from? The World Health Organization and Western media said that Ebola came from bats, monkeys, and chimpanzees. There are lots of doubts about the storyline from the WHO and Daily Mail newspaper. Consequently, there is the need to consult other sources to find out the origin of Ebola. Let's try the scientists and the bioweapon experts to find out where Ebola came from. Perhaps through this, we might discover also if COVID-19 came from the same source. Coming up next. Welcome back. So, what do the scientists know about the origin of Ebola?
Ebola couldn't infect human cells until we took it in the laboratories and taught him.
Did you hear that? I thought that Ebola came from bats, monkeys, and chimpanzees. Politicians and journalists will tell their tales. Here, the scientists have told Africans where the virus came from. The virus called Ebola was made in the lab according to the scientists. Can you believe that? So what she is saying is that Ebola that killed 11,000 Africans was made in the lab. Now the question is, made in the lab by who? Now, let us ask the bioweapon expert, Professor Boy Francis, for the answer to that question. By the way, is Professor Francis qualified enough to give us an answer to this question? Now, Professor Boy Francis is a leading American professor, a legal practitioner, and an advocate of international law. He was responsible for drafting the Biological Weapon Anti-Terrorism Act of 1989. So he is qualified enough to give us answer to that question. So, what does he know about the origin of the West African Ebola outbreak? Take a look. Take a look again at what he said. Don't ask me if it is true. Ask Professor Boy Francis. He said he had absolute proof from Pentagon documents that the Center for Disease Control was doing biowarfare work for the Pentagon in Sierra Leone. So this Ebola that claimed 11,000 Africans was made in a lab in West Africa. So where are the so-called human rights activists and civil society organizations? I am surprised none of them raised their voice in defense of the victims of this Ebola. So does it mean that the slaughter of 11,000 Africans is not enough for a strong agitation? Are you sure you are serious about the human rights of Africans? Let me leave it to your conscience. Please don't forget to take note of these words. What labs is he talking about? Again, take note of the following words. In another forum, he confirmed his claims about the origin of Ebola. Take a look. This is very serious. Can you believe this? Finally, he has disclosed those behind the labs in West Africa. Take a look. So, as Africans, you can begin to understand the network of foreign governments, their agencies, and their roles in the virus infections and deaths in Africa. Again, according to Professor Boy Francis, the 11,000 West Africans that died were deliberately killed using bioweapons. Take a look at his statement. Please take note of the following words. Are you shocked about what you read? It was vaccines that they used in infecting the Congolese. It is the same vaccine they are using in infecting West Africans with Ebola in 2014. The humiliating aspect of that is the Ebola that was made in West Africa was used against the West Africans without them detecting. Surprisingly, some of these labs are still operating in many African countries today. So you can see that from expert opinions, Ebola was manufactured in the lab as biological weapon that targets African population. In another account in the Liberian Observer newspaper dated 9 September 2014, Dr. Cyril Brodix threw more light on the Ebola outbreak of 2014. Have a look. Are you shocked about what you read? Personally, I'm short of words. Can you believe what you just read? That a contract was given to Tekmira, a Canadian pharmaceutical company, to do what? To provide health care for Africans? No. To inject and infuse into healthy Africans the deadly Ebola virus. Who are the humans? The Africans. That company was paid $140 million for this job. Can you believe that? Why Africa all the time? Why do you think they are doing these clinical trials and conducting biowarfare against Africans? Why do you think they are doing that? Maybe Professor Boy Francis can give us an answer. Have a look. Did you see that? Did you see the answer? First, they are doing that to make money. Second, to reduce the number of black West Africans. Third, the World Health Organization is a front for big pharmaceutical companies. Can you believe these things? So, does it mean that Western nations, their companies, as well as the World Health Organization, make money from infecting Africans? Is that what it means? Does it mean that they make money from Africans dying from these viruses? Again, can you believe that the World Health Organization is a front for pharmaceutical companies? Can you believe that? I'm just asking because I cannot understand it. Could this be the reason why the World Health Organization is involved in most dangerous drug clinical trials in Africa? At this point, Africans now know where Ebola came from. Could COVID-19 come from the same source? Before answering this question, Professor Boyle Francis said that the manufacturers of Ebola want to make money as well as reduce the population of Africa. So, how do they want to make money from Ebola? Second, why do they want to reduce the population of Africa using deadly viruses? Coming up in the next episode. You will be amazed and shocked to learn how money was made from Ebola and why African population must be reduced. Ensure you subscribe so that you don't miss that episode. Have you pressed the subscribe button? Okay. Thank you for subscribing. Then see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.